The rain hadn't just fallen today, it attacked the city. Each drop hit the streets like a warning, drumming against rooftops and drowning out hope. In that storm, a young woman stood outside a fading pawn shop, fingers trembling around a small velvet pouch she had rehearsed letting go of 1,000 times, yet never truly believed she would. Aisha inhaled sharply and stepped inside. The bell above the door gave a half-hearted ring, as if tired of witnessing desperation. Dusty shelves leaned with the weight of forgotten dreams, trophies, broken watches, photos in frames, all once loved by someone who needed money more than memories. The pawnbroker didn't even look up at first. His magnifying glasses made his eyes seem larger, colder. When he finally turned to her, he didn't see a person, just another transaction. "What have you brought?" he asked, voice tired. Aisha opened the pouch. Inside lay a gold locket, its crescent moon engraving faded yet still elegant. The metal carried warmth, like it had never forgotten the pulse of the neck it once rested against. She held it out carefully, as though afraid it would shatter. "It belonged to my mother," she whispered, the words sticking to her throat. "It's all I have left." The pawnbroker pried it from her fingers with metal tools, not gentle hands. He inspected it like an object, not a memory. Inside the locket, a tiny photograph smiled back, her mother, younger and full of light. Opposite the photo, a piece of paper with handwriting that time had tried to bleed away. "For my star, keep shining." Aisha's stomach twisted. She wished she could keep shining. He weighed the gold, muttering numbers under his breath. Aisha's hope rose and fell with each sigh. Finally, he dropped the locket onto the counter with an indifferent clink. "It's real gold," he admitted, "but the style is old. People these days want flashy, new designs. I can give you 3,000 rupees. Not a rupee more. 3,000. Her chest hollowed. She had expected little, but this was almost nothing. "That's all." Her voice cracked. He shrugged. "Times are hard for everyone. Take it or leave it." Rain battered the shop windows like fate banging on glass. Aisha imagined Ali waiting at home, smiling through hunger, pretending his legs weren't shaking with weakness. She nodded. "I'll take it." The old man counted the notes slowly, each flick of a bill sounding like judgment. When she reached for the locket one last time, he jerked it away. "You sold it, girl. Sentiment isn't part of business." But she pressed her palm on the counter, gathering courage she didn't feel. "Please, if I can't buy it back right away, don't sell it to someone else." The desperation slipped through despite her effort to hide it. The pawnbroker paused, not moved, just annoyed. "I'll keep it until the deadline. After that, it's just merchandise." Her heart squeezed. It wasn't a promise, but it was the best she would get. She pocketed the money and walked out into the night. Across the street, a sleek black SUV waited like a panther in the dark. Inside sat a man whose name turned heads in every boardroom and charity gala, Hamad Rahim. Most billionaires armored themselves with arrogance, he wore silence. His eyes were sharp, always searching for truth in things others ignored. And they were searching her. He had seen her arrive. Seen how she held the pouch to her chest as if it could protect her from life itself. Seen how she left, walking faster, shoulders heavier, eyes swallowing tears. "Sir," his driver, Faisal, asked cautiously. "We should get to your meeting." Hamad didn't blink. Change of plan. He stepped out into the rain. Aisha half ran to the market, clutching the precious bills like they might fly away. The grocery shop's fluorescent lights hummed, unbothered by human suffering. She grabbed essentials, the cheapest bread, rice that would stretch, milk that might last a day or two. Every item she dropped into the basket was a reminder. Survival had a price, and sometimes that price was love. When the cashier read the total, she counted twice to avoid the humiliation of being short. Her stomach still ached with hunger, but her heart hurt more. The bag felt heavier than the food inside, it carried the weight of what she had lost. Home was a narrow building with peeling paint, smelling of damp walls and hopeless dreams. On the second floor, a chipped door waited, and so did a boy. "Didi." Ali rushed to her, bare feet cold on the cracked floor tiles. His thin arms wrapped around her waist, and she hugged him tighter than she intended, as if afraid he might disappear too. "What did you bring?" he asked, eager eyes scanning the bag. "Dinner," she said with a smile she forced to look real. They cooked slowly, savoring each task, washing rice, boiling water, as if stretching time could stretch the meal too. Ali's laughter returned for a moment, filling the small room with warmth. Then he noticed her neck. Where is Mama's locket? The pause was painful. I'll get it back, she promised, brushing his hair aside. Just for a little while, it's helping us. He nodded, but his eyes flickered with grief older than a child should ever know. They ate. The food tasted simple but miraculous. For the first time in days, Ali leaned back full, lips curved with contentment. Aisha watched him, committing his smile to memory. This was why she survived. Later, when he fell asleep under the thin blanket, she sat by the window, listening to the rain whisper shame. Across town, the pawn shop door opened again. Water dripped from Hamad's coat as he approached the counter. The pawnbroker stiffened. Wealthy men did not step into places like this unless something was already decided. You bought a locket from a girl, Hamad said, voice controlled but cold. Yes, sir, the man stammered. Value is low, but how much? 3,000. Hamad placed a stack of crisp notes on the counter, 20 times that amount. The pawnbroker stared, throat bobbing in fear and greed. Sir, it isn't worth. I didn't ask for its worth. Silence shook the room. The locket was hurriedly retrieved. Hamad held it gently, as if he understood what it meant. Forget she came here, he said. Forget her face. Forget her name. The old man nodded so fast his glasses nearly slid off. Hamad walked back to the SUV, the velvet pouch safe inside his coat. Faisal unlocked the door, confused. Sir, you bought a locket. Hamad's eyes followed the storm-washed streets. That girl sold her last piece of love to feed a child, he murmured. No one should have to choose between hunger and memory. Faisal swallowed hard. So what will you do now? Hamad looked toward the direction she disappeared, determination burning beneath calm. We find her. And so, as Aisha whispered goodnight to Ali, a billionaire stepped into the rain, carrying a piece of her heart in his pocket. And a promise he didn't even realize he was making. Thunder cracked like the sky was splitting open. Rain hadn't eased. If anything, it grew wilder, as if it sensed a story shifting direction. In his SUV, Hamad Rahim stared at the dim outline of the apartment building he'd tracked her to. Most people would have turned away from that neighborhood, locked their car doors, and rushed on. But Hamad wasn't most people. Wait here, he told Faisal. You're going alone? The driver asked, worried. Hamad glanced at him, expression unreadable. This isn't business, it's personal. He stepped into the storm. Inside the apartment, Aisha sat by the window, listening to rain thudding like guilt on the roof. Ali slept curled up, exhaustion knocking him out fast. She rested a hand on his hair, a silent prayer in her heart. Tomorrow, I'll find work. Anything. I'll get the locket back. She didn't know someone was bringing it to her already. A knock jolted her. Her heart jumped. Who would come this late? She opened the door slightly, chain still locked. A tall man stood outside, drenched but composed, expensive coat glistening under the weak hallway bulb. His presence felt powerful, like he carried a world she'd never step into. Who are you? She asked cautiously. Hamad's voice was gentle but confident. I think something that belongs to you ended up with me. He reached into his coat, slowly, carefully, and revealed the velvet pouch. Aisha's breath caught. She froze. For a second, she didn't move, scared it was a trick, scared she'd wake up and the pouch would vanish like a dream. How? She whispered, voice trembling. You shouldn't have to give up your memories to survive, he said simply. Those words, they melted something inside her. Tears stung her eyes before she could stop them. Her hand shook as she unlocked the chain and led him inside. He noticed immediately how small the apartment was, barely one room, a tiny kitchen in a corner, walls cracking under time. But there was a warmth he'd never seen in mansions, blankets neatly folded, dishes washed despite hardship, a child sleeping like the world wasn't cruel. Aisha opened the pouch and pulled out the locket. When her thumb brushed the crescent engraving, her shoulders collapsed with relief. Tears slid down silently, and Hamad looked away to give her dignity. My brother, she said after a moment, voice tight. He needs food. I didn't have another way. You needed help, Hamad replied, not punishment. She wiped her tears quickly. Thank you. I don't have the money to. I didn't buy it, he cut in. I only borrowed it for you. Her head tilted, confused. Borrowed. You're still its owner. I'm just the messenger returning what should never be lost. She stared at him, unsure how a billionaire could speak like that, without pride or pity. Why? She finally asked. Why do you care? He didn't answer immediately. His gaze fell upon the tiny photograph inside the locket, the smiling woman with soft eyes. I knew her, he said quietly. Aisha stiffened. You knew my mother? Hamad nodded slowly. Many years ago, she worked at one of my company's hospitals. She was a nurse, kind, fierce, always fighting for patients no one cared about. Aisha's heart pounded. Memories of her mother rushed back, warm hands, gentle laughter, stories of helping strangers as though they were family. Hamad continued, voice low with respect, your mother once saved someone very important to me. My sister. We were children. My sister had a respiratory condition. Doctors said she might not make it through the night. Your mother refused to give up. She stayed even after her shift, cared for her, held her hand, talked to her until she woke up. He paused, the storm outside loud, his silence louder. My mother, Aisha whispered, pride battling grief, she always said every life matters. Yes, Hamad said, she lived her belief. He took a breath, steadying emotion he didn't often show. When I heard she passed away, it didn't feel fair. People like her, they deserve the world in return. Aisha's eyes flooded again. She had struggled so long that she forgot how it felt to be seen. What happened to you and your brother? He asked softly. Aisha sat beside the sleeping boy. After Mama got sick, she couldn't work. Her treatment, it cost everything. We sold our furniture, our home, then her life slipped away anyway. She took a shaky breath. Our father had already left. It's just us now. Hamad's jaw tightened. He had seen poverty, but witnessing its wound up close was different. He knelt, lightly placing a hand on Ali's blanket. And now you protect him, he said. Yes, she whispered. Always. For a moment, silence rested like a fragile truth between them. Then Hamad stood and reached into his coat again, but this time he pulled out a card. This has my number. Come to my office tomorrow morning. I want to give you something your mother earned long ago. Aisha blinked in confusion. Earned? The day she saved my sister, my family promised we would repay her someday. But we never got the chance. Let me keep that promise now. No, Aisha shook her head instinctively. I'm not charity. Hamad smiled faintly. This isn't charity. It's a debt, very overdue. Her lips trembled. She wanted help. Desperately, but life had taught her to suspect every hand that reached out. He seemed to sense that. You'll work, he said simply. I'll make sure you earn everything yourself. But you won't have to starve to earn dignity. That, she could accept. She nodded, eyes lowering in gratitude. Thank you, she breathed. Hamad turned to leave, but paused at the door. Keep shining, he said, glancing at the locket. Aisha's heart stuttered. She had read those words inside the locket her entire life, but hearing them from someone who remembered her mother made them feel alive again. She closed the door once he left, her palm pressed over the locket. For the first time in months, hope stretched inside her like sunrise breaking through dark. Outside, Hamad stood for a moment under the rain, staring up at their window. The storm soaked his clothes, but he didn't care. Faisal rolled down the window. Sir, everything okay? Hamad exhaled slowly. Better than okay. He looked at the building one last time and whispered, almost to himself. She deserves to rise, and I'm going to make sure she does. As the SUV drove away into the night, Aisha stood inside holding the one treasure she never thought she'd see again. Not knowing tomorrow would change more than just her hunger. It would change her fate.